Hey guys, so we're going to be getting started with our week 7 notes. We're going to be looking at the volume of prisms and cylinders. So we've done area already, perimeter, now we're moving on to volume. So volume is the amount of space inside a three-dimensional figure. So it's the amount of space that a figure takes up. So think like a box of cereal. The amount of space that that's taking up is the volume. And the way that we measure the volume is in cubed or cubic units. So it's raised to the third power because it's three-dimensional. So just think about it that way. Okay. So I already have the formulas filled in for you. That way we make sure you have them right. So the volume of a rectangular prism, so think cereal box, is going to be length times width times height. Okay, so you're just going to take the three measurements given and you multiply them together. So we have three examples here. So the first one, calculate the volume of the following rectangular prism. In number 1, length, width, height, it does not matter which one you make which. Let's say we make that length, width, and height. The volume is then those three multiplied together. 2 times 3 times 5. So the volume, 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 5 is 30 meters cubed. Remember, three-dimensional, so it goes to the third power. Okay? Number 2, we have length, we have width, we have height. Again, it doesn't matter which one you really make it. Volume would then be equal to 4 times 5 times 10. 4 times 5 is 20. 20 times 10 is 200 centimeters cubed. Okay, just don't forget your units. Last one together, we have length, width, height. The volume is 3 times 6 times 2. 3 times 6 is 18. 18 times 2 is 36. So 36 feet cubed. Okay, so that's a rectangular prism. Okay, now we're going to look at a triangular prism and figure out the formula for that. Again, I'm already giving that to you. The volume formula is 1/2 base times height times length. So just looking at the 1/2 base times height, that's how we find the area of a triangle, right? So that should make sense that we're using that formula. But now we're also adding in the length to take into account that it's not just a triangle, it's a prism. So it kind of has some depth to it. It's that third dimension. So we're going to calculate the volume for the following triangular prisms. We have 2 of them here. So in number 1, okay, we have our base, which is 6 meters. My height, you know it's your height because it's forming that right angle, is 4 meters. My pen won't work. There we go. And then my length is like the distance from one of the front triangle to that back triangle. So if you don't know what I mean, talking this front triangle to this back triangle, the length is your distance between those two. So that would be my length. This 5 meters is in here to throw you off. You do not need that for this problem. Okay. So when we go ahead and do this, the volume is going to be 1/2 my base, which is 6, my height, which is 4, my length, which is 12. So my volume, 1/2 times 6 is 3. 3 times 4 is 12. 12 times 12 is 144 meters cubed. Okay? And you can obviously just type that entire thing into your calculator. You don't have to do that in your head. So let's look here at number 2. Okay, so your first triangle is this piece right here. Your back one is that one there. So your base is the 5 centimeters here. Your height is always perpendicular to your base, so that's how we know it's 12. And then my length is the distance between the two triangles, so that's 4. Again, they're giving us 13 to throw us off. That is not any of the information that we need. So the volume here is 1/2 my base, which is 5, my height, which is 12, my length, which is 4. So my volume 1/2 times 5 is a decimal, so I'm going to do 5 times 12, which is 60. 60 times 1/2 is 30. 30 times 4 is 120 centimeters cubed. Okay? So that was triangular prisms. And those ones I think are the hardest to identify because sometimes it's difficult to figure out which piece is which. But I would just take your time, make sure the height's perpendicular to the base, and then the length is what's kind of in between the two triangles at the end of the figure. Last one, volume of a cylinder. The formula for that is pi r squared h. Again, this part of the formula, pi r squared, should be familiar. That's how we find the area of a circle. Now we're also going to include the height because the height's saying, all right, this is now the space it's taking up in 3 dimensions. Okay, so to calculate the volume of the following cylinders. So we have 4, which is our radius, right? Starts in the middle of the circle, goes down, and then our height's always going to be in between the distance in between the 2 circles. So the volume is going to be pi times my radius, which is 4 squared, times my height, which is 12. Okay, so that's going to be 3.14. 4 squared is 16 times 12. Remember, you want to do the exponents first. Now I can multiply. So 3.14 times 16 times 12. My volume is 602.88 centimeters cubed. Remember, volume to the 3rd power because it's 3 dimensions. Number 2, here in this one, they're actually giving us the diameter. We don't want the diameter. We just want the radius. So in order to get the radius, I need to cut my diameter in half. So my radius would be 4.5 inches. Okay, so you just have to be careful with what it is that they're giving you. All right, so for this one, volume is equal to pi times my radius, which is 4.5 squared, times my height, which is 6. So the volume is 3, pen wants to work. There we go. 3.14 times 4.5 squared is 20.25, and then times 6. So I multiply all 3 of those together. We get 381.51 inches cubed. That would be our final answer. Okay. So now we have 3 more problems. Now we're going to work backwards. We're going to be given the volume and we're going to find the unknown side measure of each of these prisms. So the first one, it's a rectangular prism. So the formula is length times width times height. So let's fill in what we know. We know that the volume is 210. That's going to be equal to my length, which is 5, times my width, which is 14, or vice versa, that doesn't matter, times h. My height is what I want to solve for. So 210 is equal to 14 times 5, which is 70 times h. To solve for h, divide both sides by 70, and your height is going to be 3 centimeters. Okay. Number 2, we're doing a cylinder. Formula for that, volume is equal to pi r squared h. Okay, so let's fill in. We know the volume is 254. Pi is 3.14. My radius is 9, so I'm going to square that. And then my height, again, is what I'm trying to solve for. So 254 is equal to 3.14 times 9 squared, which is 81. There we go, times h. So 3.14 times 81. We have 254 is equal to 254.34 times h. Okay, from there, when you go ahead and divide Pen really does not want to work. You end up with the height being, if we round it to the nearest hundredth, if you go out one more, it's 0.998, which is really going to round it up. So we're looking at it being around 1 meter, which clearly this is not drawn to scale, but that's okay. Things aren't always drawn to scale. Okay, but that's going to be roughly 1 meter. It was 0.998, but rounding that up is actually going to round that up to 1. Okay, so let's look here at number 3. Now we have a triangular prism. Formula for that, the volume is equal to 1/2 the base times the height times the length. Okay, so my base is what I don't know, but my volume I know is 150. I have 1/2. My base is what I don't know. They're using U for that, so we'll use U. My height is 6, and my length is 10. So 150 is equal to 1/2 times 6 is 3. 3 times 10 is 30, so 30 times U. Divide both sides by 30. So U is equal to 5 centimeters. Okay, so that would be our final answer for that one. Okay, so those were our notes for today. They were fairly short. Hopefully a lot of this stuff is things you have seen before. The formulas are not something we expect you to have memorized. You just need to be able to use them and apply them. So I will see you guys all shortly. And if you have any questions, you'll be able to ask me. Bye, guys.